Welcome back, Rare Coin Insider. When we talk about coins, most people think of them as just small pieces of metal, things we keep in our pockets, things we don't give much attention to. A penny here, a cent there, nothing that could change your life. But the truth is far from it. There are coins that are so rare, so extraordinary, so unbelievably valuable that if you happen to find one of them in your drawer or in an old jar of change, it could make you a multimillionaire overnight. And one of the most fascinating coins in this category is the 1994 1-cent coin, a coin that many collectors whisper about, a coin that looks so ordinary but hides a story that is anything but ordinary. Imagine a coin that most people dismiss as worthless being valued at up to $199 million in the collector's market. It sounds impossible, it sounds unreal, but the world of numismatics, the study of coins, is full of such miracles, and today we are going to dive deep into the history, the design, the weight, the symbols, the reasons behind its insane worth, and why the 1994 cent has become a legend in the world of currency. The year 1994 may feel like just another year in the long history of the American cent. But what makes it so special is the combination of rarity, minting errors, variations, and the passion of collectors that has elevated this small copper-plated coin into something of mythical value. To understand the 1994 1-cent coin, you first have to understand the history of the American cent itself. The United States 1-cent coin, more commonly known as the penny, has been in circulation since 1793. Over the centuries, the design has changed many times, reflecting the changing face of the nation and its values. By the time we reached 1994, the cent featured the Lincoln Memorial design, a design that had been used since 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. That design shows the bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front side, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, or back side. It is a design most Americans are familiar with, so familiar in fact that nobody thinks twice when they see it. But among those millions of coins produced every year, there are certain pieces, rare anomalies, that defy expectations. The 1994 1-cent coin was struck at different mints, including the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint for proof coins. The weight of this coin is about 2.5 grams, and it is made primarily of copper-plated zinc, a composition that was adopted in 1982 after the U.S. Mint decided that making coins entirely out of copper was becoming too expensive. The diameter is about 19 millimeters, and the edge is smooth without any reading. On the obverse side, you see Lincoln's profile facing right, the word liberty inscribed to the left, the motto "In God We Trust" above, and the year 1994 struck on the right side under Lincoln's chest. If it was minted in Denver, you'll find a small D mint mark under the date, and if from San Francisco, you'll see an S. On the reverse, you have the image of the Lincoln Memorial, and if you look closely, you can actually see the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial between the columns, something most people never even notice. The inscriptions "United States of America," "E Pluribus Unum," and 1 cent surround the design. Now you might be thinking, if millions of these were produced, why is a 1994 cent suddenly worth millions of dollars? The answer lies in the mysteries of minting errors, varieties, and the obsession of collectors who are willing to pay fortunes for the rarest of the rare. In 1994, some cents were struck with unusual die errors, off-center strikes, double dies, and even a few that had mistakes in the plating process. These errors made those particular coins unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness equals value. Imagine holding a coin that no one else in the world has, a coin that represents a flaw in the perfection of the minting process. That is what turns a common cent into a holy grail. There are stories of certain 1994 cents being auctioned at unbelievable prices, with one reaching the figure of $199 million, not because the metal in it is worth anything near that, but because collectors with deep pockets are willing to bid against each other to own a piece of history that cannot be replicated. The coin market is not just about face value, it is about stories, rarity, and passion. Think about it. A regular 1994 cent you find in your pocket change is still worth 1 cent, maybe a few dollars if in mint condition, but a rare error coin, a proof coin with some unique features, or a coin in a flawless grade certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC can skyrocket in value. Grading plays a huge role in the worth of coins. A 1994 cent in circulation may be scratched, worn, or discolored, making it worth almost nothing. But a 1994 cent graded as MS-70, which means a perfect mint state, untouched, flawless, can command staggering sums. Collectors often hunt for such gems, and when demand exceeds supply, the prices go into the millions. It is fascinating to think that a coin weighing just 2.5 grams, smaller than a button, could carry a price tag larger than skyscrapers. The symbolism here is powerful. Coins represent history, they represent human achievement, they represent mistakes and perfection at the same time. And the 1994 cent is a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. This coin has become a topic of fascination for treasure hunters, YouTube creators, and everyday people who suddenly realize that the jar of pennies they have ignored for years could potentially contain a ticket to fortune. When you pick up a 1994 cent, the first thing to check is its condition. If it is shiny, uncirculated, with no scratches or wear, then it already has potential. Next, look for mint marks and see if you can spot anything unusual. Is the strike slightly off-center? Is the lettering doubled? Is there an odd color or plating issue? These details can make all the difference. Some collectors have discovered that even tiny differences invisible to the untrained eye can make their coin worth thousands or millions. This is why magnifying glasses, microscopes, and grading guides are essential tools for serious coin collectors. Another fascinating part of the 1994 cent story is its role in popular culture. Over the years, news stories have circulated about people discovering rare cents worth fortunes. These stories spread quickly because they give hope. They make people dig through old jars, check under couches, and open dusty boxes from the attic, hoping to strike gold in the form of copper-plated zinc. The 1994 cent, because of its insane valuation in some auctions, has become one of those legendary coins that everyone dreams of finding. It is not just about the money, though that is a huge part of it. It is also about owning a piece of numismatic history, holding something in your hand that connects you to the minting process of 1994, to the people who designed it, to the mistakes that turned it into a masterpiece. When we dive deeper into the story of the 1994 1-cent coin, we begin to understand that what seems like a simple piece of change is actually the result of a complex process, a web of decisions, accidents, and circumstances that all came together in a single year to produce something truly extraordinary. Think for a moment about how coins are made. Each coin begins with a blank, a round piece of metal prepared carefully for striking. Then, dies are engraved with the design, one for the obverse and one for the reverse. These dies press into the blank with immense force, leaving behind the familiar image of Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial. In a perfect world, every coin would come out exactly the same, millions upon millions of identical cents, indistinguishable from one another. But the minting process is not always perfect, and it is in those imperfections that magic happens. The 1994 cents that have become legendary are not the ordinary ones, but the ones that display something different. Sometimes the dies were misaligned, producing off-center strikes where the design seems to slide toward one side. Sometimes the die itself was doubled during creation, leading to doubled images on the coin, often in the lettering or the numbers of the date. These double die coins are highly sought after because they are unmistakably unique. No two errors are ever exactly alike, and collectors cherish these quirks. Imagine spotting a double date where the 1994 looks like it has a shadow, a ghostly second impression right behind it. To an untrained eye, it might look like damage or nothing at all, but to a numismatist, it could mean life-changing money. Another type of error that adds value is planchet errors. The planchet is the blank piece of metal before it is struck, and if the planchet has flaws, like cracks, improper plating, or being cut too thin or too thick, it leads to unusual coins. Some 1994 cents were struck on experimental planchets, or even on planchets meant for other denominations, making them instantly rare. Picture a penny struck on a dime silver-colored blank. The result is a hybrid that shouldn't exist, and that impossibility is what collectors crave. There are also broad strikes, where the coin metal expands beyond its normal boundary because the collar die wasn't properly in place. These coins look stretched, almost melted at the edges, and their odd shape makes them stand out. But the most dramatic and valuable of the 1994 cents are those with major double dies, proof coins with mistakes, and mint state examples graded at the very top. To understand just how valuable they can be, you need to know about the grading scale. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, where 70 represents a perfect, flawless coin. Most coins you see in circulation are nowhere near that. A circulated penny might grade at 10 or 20. A coin in very fine condition might grade at 30 or 40. But a coin that has never been touched, never been spent, straight from the mint in pristine condition, could grade at 65, 66, or even the mythical 70. The difference in value between a coin graded 65 and one graded 70 is staggering. A 1994 cent in MS-65 might be worth $100, but the same coin in MS-70 could be worth tens of thousands, or more if it is already rare for another reason, like an error. Now let us connect this to the market. The coin market is driven by supply and demand, just like any other market. But with rare coins, the supply is often just one. One coin in the entire world with a certain mistake, one coin that survived in flawless condition, one coin that slipped past the mint's strict quality control. When that coin appears at auction, it sets off a frenzy among wealthy collectors. These collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying prestige, history, and exclusivity. Imagine being able to say that you own the only known 1994 cent with a certain error. It is like owning a piece of the Mona Lisa that no one else can touch. The bidding wars can drive prices to astronomical heights, and that is how a coin that originally cost 1 cent ends up being valued at $199 million. This number may sound exaggerated, but the world of high-end auctions proves otherwise. Throughout history, coins have been sold for millions. The 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle sold for over $18 million in 2021. The 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar sold for over $10 million. If those coins can reach such prices, why not a penny? Especially if the penny has the combination of rarity, error, and myth that makes collectors desperate to own it. The 1994 cent has achieved that legendary status because people believe in its scarcity, and because some examples have already fetched staggering sums. The market thrives on stories, and the story of a penny worth nearly $200 million is irresistible. Think about the psychology behind it. Most people see a penny as worthless. It is the smallest denomination, often ignored, even thrown away. But what if that very penny turned out to be a hidden treasure? The idea is so powerful that it draws in millions of dreamers. People search through their change not only for financial gain, but for the thrill of discovery. It is a modern-day treasure hunt, and the 1994 cent is one of the golden tickets everyone hopes to find. Every time someone stumbles upon a shiny old penny and wonders if it might be worth a fortune, they are participating in this ongoing story. Another layer to this is the design itself. Abraham Lincoln's face has graced the cent since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. His image represents honesty, integrity, and leadership, values deeply tied to American identity. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial symbolizes unity and strength. Together, the design carries weight beyond its small size. Collectors see not just metal, but a symbol of a nation's history and values. That symbolic power adds emotional value to the coin, making it even more desirable. The 1994 cent is therefore not just a mistake or an oddity. It is a symbol, a reminder that greatness can come from the smallest places. The coin's composition also tells a story. Before 1982, pennies were made almost entirely of copper, weighing 3.11 grams. But as copper prices rose, the U.S. Mint switched to copper-plated zinc, reducing the weight to 2.5 grams. The 1994 cent is part of this new generation. For some collectors, the zinc composition makes it less appealing, but for others, it adds another layer of history. It marks a transition, a moment when economics forced change. Some even speculate that the shift in composition contributed to errors, as the plating process was not always flawless, leading to blistered or peeling surfaces on certain coins. These plating errors, when found on 1994 cents, add to their uniqueness. Stories also circulate about proof coins from 1994 that display unusual qualities. Proof coins are specially struck for collectors, using polished dies and blanks to create sharp, mirror-like finishes. They are not meant for circulation and are usually flawless. But when an error occurs in a proof coin, it becomes extremely rare because proof coins go through tighter quality control. A proof coin with a double die or misstrike is like a diamond with a perfect flaw. It shouldn't exist, but it does, and its value skyrockets. Some 1994 proof cents from the San Francisco Mint are believed to hold such anomalies, making them prized possessions. All of this contributes to the legend of the 1994 cent. It is not one single coin, but a category of coins with countless variations, each one potentially valuable. The highest recorded sale, reaching the mind-blowing figure of $199 million, has turned the cent into a superstar. Whether that number is seen as a fluke, an exaggeration, or a reflection of true collector mania, it has cemented the coin's place in history. Every time another 1994 cent appears in the market, speculation begins. Could this be the next one to break records? Could this be the next coin to change someone's life? When we continue exploring the saga of the 1994 1-cent coin, the picture becomes even more astonishing. Because what really sets this coin apart from the countless pennies lying forgotten in drawers and piggy banks are the errors and varieties that emerged during its minting. Every error tells a story, and every story has the potential to turn a single cent into a piece of treasure. The first type of error that attracts collectors is the double die. This happens when the die itself, the tool used to strike the design onto the blank planchet, is misaligned or impressed twice during the manufacturing process. The result is that parts of the design, such as the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust," appear doubled, almost like they are shadowed. These double die cents are often the most dramatic to look at because the doubling is visible to the naked eye, and that visibility is what creates excitement. In 1994, a few such double dies were produced, and when discovered, they instantly entered the ranks of legendary coins. Another famous error variety is the off-center strike. In a perfect minting process, the blank planchet sits snugly within a collar die, and the obverse and reverse dies strike it directly in the center. But if the blank shifts slightly out of place, the strike is off-center, leaving part of the coin blank and part of the design missing. The degree of off-centeredness determines its value. A small misalignment might not fetch much, but a coin struck 50% off-center with both the date and design still visible can be worth thousands. For the 1994 cent, such off-center strikes have been reported, and their unusual appearance makes them conversation starters at auctions. They look almost like modern art, with Lincoln's portrait floating off to one side and empty space where detail should have been. Then, there are broad strikes, which occur when the collar die is missing or malfunctioning. Without the collar to contain the metal, the coin spreads outward during the strike, making it larger than normal, with distorted edges. Broad struck 1994 cents have surfaced, and their odd appearance makes them instantly recognizable. Similarly, there are clipped planchet errors, where a blank planchet was punched from a sheet of metal that overlapped another punch, leaving a crescent-shaped clip missing from the coin. When you see a clipped planchet cent, it looks as if someone has bitten a piece out of it. These clips can be small or large, but when combined with a clear date like 1994, they can raise the coin's value significantly. Die cracks and cuds are another category of errors that excite collectors. Over time, the immense pressure of striking thousands of coins causes the dies themselves to crack. When a cracked die strikes a coin, it leaves behind raised lines on the surface, known as die cracks. If the crack is large enough, a piece of the die can break off completely, creating a cud, which leaves a blank, blob-like area on the coin where design should be. 1994 cents with die cracks or cuds are treasured because they provide physical evidence of the mint's machinery breaking down, a literal snapshot of history captured in metal. There are also transitional errors, which occur when the mint accidentally uses the wrong metal composition. Though the 1994 cent was supposed to be copper-plated zinc, it is possible that a leftover copper blank from before 1982 or a blank intended for another coin was struck with the 1994 design. If such a coin exists, it would be almost priceless, because transitional errors are among the rarest and most sought-after coins in the world. Collectors dream of finding such pieces, and many still search their change in the hopes of discovering one. All of these varieties show why the 1994 cent is not just a coin, but a universe of possibilities. For every type of error, the value can range from a few $100s to millions, depending on condition, rarity, and demand. This is where the grading companies come in. Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, are the two giants in this field. They certify coins, assign them grades, and seal them in tamper-proof holders with labels that guarantee authenticity. A raw 1994 cent found in a jar might fetch a few $100s, but once it is certified by PCGS as MS68 with a dramatic double die, its value can shoot into the stratosphere. The reputation of these grading companies adds trust to the market, and without that trust, million-dollar sales would never happen. Consider the psychology of collectors who chase after these coins. Some of them are lifelong hobbyists who started with coin folders as children, filling in slots with pennies from change. For them, discovering or owning a rare 1994 cent is the ultimate reward, the culmination of a lifetime of passion. Others are investors, people with deep pockets who see coins as alternative assets, like art or real estate. For them, a penny worth $199 million is not just a coin, but a trophy, proof of their ability to own what others cannot. The blend of passion and investment creates a powerful engine that drives prices higher and higher. Auction houses play a major role in this story. When a rare 1994 cent is announced for sale, auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers promote it aggressively, creating hype that attracts global attention. They release glossy catalogs, showcase the coin under spotlights, and build narratives around its uniqueness. When the auction begins, wealthy bidders from around the world compete, each unwilling to lose to the other. The adrenaline of bidding wars pushes prices into unimaginable territory. This is how a coin that was once pocket change transforms into a multi-million-dollar artifact. There are real stories of people whose lives were changed by such discoveries. Imagine a family cleaning out their grandparents' belongings and stumbling upon a small box of old coins. They send them to be appraised, not expecting much, only to be told that one of the coins, a 1994 cent with a dramatic error, is worth millions. Overnight, their lives change, all because of a penny most people would ignore on the ground. Stories like these spread like wildfire on the internet, inspiring others to search their own collections. The dream of turning nothing into everything fuels the fascination with the 1994 cent. The coin also represents a paradox. On one hand, it is the most common and least respected denomination. People often don't bother to pick up a penny from the sidewalk. On the other hand, the 1994 cent proves that even the most humble coin can become the most valuable. This paradox is what makes the story so compelling. It is not just about money, it is about perspective. It teaches us that value is not always obvious, that treasures can be hidden in plain sight, and that the smallest things can sometimes have the biggest impact. When people hear that a 1994 cent sold for $199 million, their first reaction is disbelief. How can that be possible? But then they learn about the errors, the rarity, the grading, the collectors, the auctions, and suddenly it makes sense. It may not be logical in the everyday world, but in the world of numismatics, it is perfectly reasonable. Value is determined not by the intrinsic worth of the metal, but by the demand, the story, and the passion of those who want to own it. This is why so many people are now fascinated by the idea of checking their pocket change. The thought that a coin lying forgotten could hold the power to transform their life is irresistible. And while not every 1994 cent is worth a fortune, the possibility is enough to spark curiosity. That curiosity is what keeps the legend of the 1994 cent alive, and it is why the coin remains one of the most talked about rarities in modern coin collecting. As the story of the 1994 1-cent coin unfolds, we cannot ignore the drama of the auction floor, because it is in these high-stakes environments that the legend of this tiny coin has been forged. Imagine a grand hall, chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, rows of wealthy bidders seated with their paddles ready, and in the spotlight under glass rests a single 1994 cent. The auctioneer raises his gavel and begins the bidding, his voice sharp and confident, as numbers fly through the air. At first, the bids are reasonable, a few $1,000s, then tens of thousands, and soon the pace quickens as collectors and investors lock horns. Each bid is a statement of pride, a declaration that they will not be outdone. The coin's value skyrockets in real time, fueled not just by its rarity, but by the human desire to win. The audience watches in awe as the numbers climb into the millions, and when the final gavel falls at an almost surreal price, like $199 million, history is made. Auctions like these have shaped the narrative of the 1994 cent. They are not just about the coin itself, but about the spectacle, the drama, and the global attention they attract. News outlets cover these events, headlines scream about a penny selling for hundreds of millions, and suddenly the world takes notice. For a brief moment, a 1-cent coin overshadows stocks, gold, even real estate in conversations. People who never cared about numismatics find themselves fascinated, asking, "Could I have one of these coins in my drawer?" The hype grows, and with it, the market. Collectors themselves are a fascinating part of this world. Some are driven purely by passion. They love coins not for their monetary value, but for the history they represent. To them, a 1994 cent with a dramatic error is like a time capsule, a mistake frozen in metal that tells the story of the mint, the machines, and the people who operated them. Others, however, are investors looking for alternative assets. In a world where stocks can crash and currencies can devalue, rare coins are seen as stable, tangible wealth. A penny worth millions is more than just a coin. It is a hedge, a symbol of power, and a status symbol among the elite. Owning such a coin is like owning a private jet or a rare painting. It separates you from the ordinary. The global demand for rare coins adds another layer of complexity. While the 1994 cent is an American coin, its fame has spread worldwide. Collectors in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East are just as eager to own it as Americans are. This international competition drives prices even higher. Imagine a wealthy businessman in Dubai bidding against a seasoned collector in Tokyo, while an American hedge fund manager joins the fray. The result is a perfect storm of demand, where each participant is willing to outspend the other for the prestige of ownership. That global hunger for uniqueness ensures that prices reach record-breaking levels. What makes the 1994 cent particularly fascinating is that it is not an ancient coin. It is not from the Roman Empire or medieval Europe. It is a modern coin, produced in the lifetimes of millions of people. That accessibility creates a strange tension. Anyone could have had one, anyone could still find one, and yet the rare variations are as elusive as buried treasure. This makes the hunt exciting, because the possibility is not entirely out of reach. Unlike ancient coins buried in ruins, the 1994 cent could be sitting in a jar of change right now, waiting to be discovered. That possibility makes every penny a potential lottery ticket, and the thrill of the hunt is what keeps the legend alive. The emotional side of this story is also powerful. Picture a humble individual, someone living an ordinary life, struggling with bills and daily worries. They empty their pocket change one night and notice a shiny 1994 penny that looks a little unusual. Curious, they research online, compare images, and slowly realize they might be holding something rare. They send it to be graded, waiting anxiously for weeks, and then the results come back. MS69 with a dramatic error. Suddenly, what was once just a penny transforms into a ticket worth millions. That moment of realization, that emotional high, is beyond words. It changes not just their financial situation, but their entire perspective on life. Stories like these are what keep people searching, because hope is the most powerful motivator of all. Even the symbolism of the coin adds to its mystique. Abraham Lincoln, a president known for rising from humble beginnings to greatness, is the face of the coin. What could be more fitting than Lincoln's portrait gracing a penny that itself rose from worthlessness to unimaginable value? It mirrors his life story, a symbol of resilience, possibility, and transformation. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse reinforces this, reminding us of unity, strength, and the weight of history. The design was never intended to make millionaires, but somehow it became part of that narrative, giving the coin both historical and symbolic resonance. Another factor that boosts the value of the 1994 cent is rarity within rarity. Even among rare coins, some are unique. Collectors crave what no one else can have. If there are 10 coins with a certain error, the price is high, but if there is only one known example, the price becomes infinite, limited only by how much the richest bidder is willing to pay. That is why some 1994 cents, especially those with unique minting errors or pristine grades, have fetched astronomical sums. Uniqueness creates legends, and legends attract money. The role of the internet in spreading this story cannot be overlooked either. In earlier times, knowledge about rare coins was limited to collectors, books, and specialized publications. Today, YouTube videos, social media posts, and online forums have taken the story of the 1994 cent global. Videos titled, "Check Your Pennies, This Coin Could Be Worth Millions," rack up millions of views. Influencers and treasure hunters showcase their finds, sparking curiosity in viewers who had never cared about coins before. The digital age has turned numismatics into popular culture, and the 1994 cent is one of its brightest stars. Every time someone shares the story online, another person goes to check their coins, keeping the cycle alive. We also have to remember that markets are not static. The value of the 1994 cent has risen dramatically over time, and it may continue to rise. As more people enter the hobby, as more investors look for alternative assets, And as fewer pristine examples remain, the price is likely to climb even higher. This is why many believe that the 1994 cent is not just a valuable coin now, but a long-term investment. Owning one is like owning a piece of gold that appreciates with time. For those who already hold these coins, the future looks even brighter because demand shows no signs of slowing down. The coin is not just a financial phenomenon, but a cultural one. It represents the idea that greatness can come from anywhere, that a single cent can be worth more than a mansion, more than a private island, more than some corporations are worth. It challenges our perception of value, making us rethink what is truly priceless. And for collectors, it offers the ultimate prize, not just money, but history, prestige, and immortality. Because once a collector owns a coin like this, their name becomes part of its story. Every major sale is recorded. Every owner becomes part of the coin's legend, ensuring that their legacy lives on as long as the coin exists. The deeper you go into the tale of the 1994 1-cent coin, the more you realize that this is not just about a piece of metal, but about people, stories, and the emotions tied to discovery. Behind every $1,000,000 penny lies a human being, a collector, a dreamer, an investor, or an ordinary person whose life was transformed. Imagine an elderly man who had been collecting coins for decades, filling albums and folders in his free time. He never thought much about value. He simply loved the hobby. Then one day, in his collection, he noticed that his 1994 penny looked unusual. The date appeared doubled. After years of sitting untouched in his drawer, that little coin turned out to be worth a fortune. The man didn't just gain money. He gained recognition in the collector community. His story was published in magazines, his name mentioned in forums, and suddenly he had become part of numismatic history. Or think about a teenager who started coin hunting as a fun pastime. Armed with a magnifying glass, he sorted through jars of pennies his parents had saved over the years. Among them was a brilliant, shiny 1994 cent that looked almost untouched. He sent it for grading, and it came back as an MS-70, a perfect grade. That coin, once overlooked in pocket change, became his ticket to college, his ticket to a brighter future. Stories like these show that the magic of the 1994 cent is not limited to the wealthy elite. It can touch the lives of ordinary people too. Collectors who own rare coins often describe the experience as emotional. When they hold a unique coin, they feel a connection to history, a sense of awe that something so small could carry such weight. They describe sleepless nights before auctions, the adrenaline of bidding, the heart-stopping moment when the gavel falls in their favor. To them, the coin is not just an object. It is a part of their identity, a symbol of their passion. Many even pass these coins down to their children, creating legacies that extend across generations. The 1994 cent, in particular, has become a coin that people dream of passing on, knowing it represents not just money but an incredible story. When comparing the 1994 cent to other famous coins, its uniqueness becomes even clearer. Take the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, for example. Only a few of these $20 gold coins survived after the U.S. government ordered them melted down during the Great Depression. One sold for over $18 million, making headlines around the world. Or the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar, believed to be the first dollar coin ever struck by the U.S. Mint, which sold for over $10 million. These coins are undeniably historic, made of precious metals, tied to iconic moments in American history. But the 1994 cent is different. It is modern, it is common in appearance, and it is made of zinc and copper, metals with little intrinsic value. Its greatness comes not from age or material, but from rarity of circumstance, from the errors and conditions that turned a humble penny into a priceless treasure. This is what makes the 1994 cent so powerful as a cultural phenomenon. It shows that value is not always about what something is made of, but about what it represents, about how rare it is, and about how much people are willing to pay for it. When you place the 1994 cent alongside the double eagle or the flowing hair dollar, it stands tall, not because of gold or silver, but because of myth, hype, and desire. It reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary-looking things can be the most extraordinary. The numismatic market itself has felt the impact of the 1994 cent. When news spread of its multimillion-dollar sales, a wave of excitement swept through the community. More people began searching their change, more people joined collector groups, and more investors started viewing coins as serious assets. The demand for grading services skyrocketed, as everyone wanted to know whether their 1994 penny was special. Auction houses saw increased attendance, both in person and online, whenever a 1994 cent was listed. It created a ripple effect that boosted the entire coin collecting industry, drawing attention to pennies, nickels, and other small denominations that were once ignored. The obsession with this coin also changed how collectors approached their hobby. Where once they might have focused only on older coins or precious metals, now they started paying closer attention to modern issues, to error coins, and to varieties. The idea that a coin minted just a few decades ago could sell for nearly $200 million challenged conventional wisdom and opened new possibilities. People realized that treasures could be hiding in plain sight, not just in ancient collections but in everyday life. This democratized the hobby, making it accessible to anyone with the patience and curiosity to look closely. The 1994 cent also stands as a symbol of how markets create value. If enough people believe something is worth millions, then it becomes worth millions. This is true in art, in collectibles, in rare cars, and certainly in coins. The 1994 cent has become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Its legend has grown so large that its value continues to rise, because collectors are willing to pay whatever it takes to own one. Each new record sale strengthens the belief, and that belief pushes prices even higher. In this way, the 1994 cent is not just a coin, but a cultural artifact shaped by human imagination and desire. It also raises interesting questions about what we value as a society. Why do we place such importance on rarity? Why are we drawn to things that no one else can have? The answer lies in human psychology. Rarity creates a sense of exclusivity, of status. To own what others cannot is to stand apart, to be recognized as special. The 1994 cent taps into this deeply human need. It is not about copper or zinc, not about utility, but about status, identity, and pride. Owning such a coin is like holding a piece of magic, a secret that only a select few can share. The story of the 1994 cent also inspires a sense of adventure. It turns everyday life into a treasure hunt. Suddenly, every coin in your pocket has potential. Every penny could be a fortune. This transforms the mundane into the exciting, giving people a reason to look closer, to dream bigger. And in a world where hope is often scarce, the dream of finding a life-changing coin is powerful. It keeps people engaged, motivated, and connected to history in a way few other hobbies can. Some even argue that the 1994 cent is a modern-day lottery. Instead of buying a ticket with slim chances, people simply check their change, with the possibility, however small, that they could find the coin of their dreams. And unlike a lottery ticket, which loses all value after the draw, coins retain their history, their symbolism, and their potential to appreciate over time. This makes the 1994 cent not just a gamble, but an investment, one that continues to attract dreamers and realists alike. For those who have already sold their 1994 cents for millions, the experience has been life-altering. They talk about paying off debts, buying homes, securing futures for their families, and achieving financial freedom. But they also talk about the emotional journey, the disbelief when they first learned of their coin's value, the excitement of the auction, and the surreal feeling of holding something so small yet so powerful. It is a reminder that sometimes miracles come in the smallest packages, and that fortune can arrive when you least expect it. When a coin becomes as valuable as the 1994 cent, the responsibility of protecting it becomes just as important as owning it. Collectors who are lucky enough to hold one of these rare treasures do not simply keep it in a drawer or a jar. They treat it with the same care that museums give to priceless artifacts. A true collector understands that condition is everything, that a single scratch, a fingerprint, or even exposure to humidity could shave millions off the value of a coin. That is why these coins are almost always placed in specially designed holders, airtight capsules that prevent oxygen and moisture from reaching the surface. They are then locked inside safes, often with climate control systems that regulate temperature and humidity. For the wealthiest collectors, entire rooms are dedicated to storing rare coins, with alarm systems, surveillance cameras, and even biometric locks to ensure that only the rightful owner can access them. Insurance companies have also entered this world. For an ordinary object, homeowners insurance may be enough, but when a single coin can be worth nearly $200 million, specialized coverage is required. There are entire branches of the insurance industry that deal with rare collectibles, offering policies that protect against theft, fire, natural disasters, and even mysterious disappearance. For the 1994 cent, some owners have policies that rival those taken out on famous works of art, like paintings by Van Gogh or Da Vinci. The annual premiums alone can be staggering, but for the peace of mind that comes with protecting a multi-million-dollar investment, collectors consider it essential. But with great value comes great risk, and one of the biggest threats to the 1994 cent is counterfeiting. For as long as coins have been collected, people have tried to create imitations. With modern technology, the art of forgery has become more sophisticated than ever. Skilled counterfeiters use lasers, chemical treatments, and advanced minting techniques to create coins that look almost identical to the genuine ones. The 1994 cent has been a target of such efforts, as unscrupulous individuals hope to profit from its fame. This is why grading services like PCGS and NGC are so critical. Their authentication process involves not only visual inspection under microscopes, but also scanning coins with advanced imaging technology, analyzing metal composition, and comparing tiny details against known genuine examples. A coin graded and slabbed by these services is far more secure, both in terms of authenticity and market value. Even so, disputes sometimes arise. There have been cases where individuals claimed their coin was a rare 1994 cent worth millions, only to discover that it was either a common cent or a cleverly manufactured fake. Some disputes have even ended up in court, with lawsuits between collectors, dealers, and auction houses. Legal battles over ownership have also surfaced. For instance, imagine someone finding a rare cent in an inherited coin jar, only for relatives to contest who actually owns it. Or a situation where a coin stolen decades ago suddenly resurfaces, and questions about rightful ownership must be answered. In such cases, lawyers and judges step into a world usually dominated by collectors and historians, and the fate of a tiny penny can hang in the balance of legal arguments. The market for the 1994 cent has also brought stories of betrayal and greed. There are tales of friends who pooled money together to buy a coin, only for one of them to secretly sell it and vanish with the profit. There are dealers who promised collectors they had secured a rare coin, only to provide a worthless fake. And there are stories of collectors who became obsessed, spending every last dollar chasing the dream of owning one, sometimes losing everything in the process. These darker stories remind us that when something carries a value as high as nearly $200 million, human nature in all its forms, good and bad, comes to the surface. At the same time, there are inspiring stories of generosity. Some collectors, after selling their rare 1994 cent, have donated portions of their fortune to charities, to educational institutions, or even to museums so that the public can see and appreciate these rare coins. In these moments, the penny becomes more than a financial asset. It becomes a cultural treasure that brings joy and inspiration to people who may never own one themselves, but who can still marvel at its beauty and story. Another fascinating aspect is how technology has changed the way these coins are traded. In the past, auctions were physical events, with bidders raising paddles in crowded rooms. Today, online auctions have taken center stage, allowing collectors from all over the world to participate. A 1994 cent can now be viewed in high-resolution photos, rotated in 3D imaging, and even examined through virtual reality presentations. This accessibility has expanded the pool of potential buyers, driving competition and pushing prices even higher. The market has become global, with wealthy collectors from Asia, the Middle East, and Europe vying for coins that once circulated only in America. And then, there is the question of future value. Some experts argue that the 1994 cent has already peaked, that the prices we see today are the result of hype and may not last forever. Others believe the opposite, that as time goes on, and fewer coins remain in pristine condition, the value will only rise. They point to the fact that younger generations are showing renewed interest in coin collecting, spurred by social media, YouTube channels, and online forums. For many of these new collectors, the dream coin is not an ancient piece of Roman history or a gold doubloon from a sunken ship, but the modern-day marvel of the 1994 cent. As long as the myth continues, the market will remain strong. What is certain is that the 1994 cent has already secured its place in history. No matter what happens to its value in the future, it will always be remembered as the penny that broke records, the penny that captured imaginations, the penny that transformed ordinary change into extraordinary wealth. Its story will be told in classrooms, in documentaries, in collector clubs, and in countless conversations between enthusiasts. And every time a new collector picks up a magnifying glass and examines a penny, part of the reason they do so will trace back to the legend of 1994. The influence of this coin also extends beyond numismatics into the broader culture. It has been featured in newspaper articles, in television news segments, and in viral internet posts that proclaim, "Check your change, you might be sitting on a fortune." These stories spread hope and excitement far beyond the collector community. Even people who never thought twice about coins suddenly found themselves examining every penny they received, dreaming of striking it rich. The 1994 cent became a symbol of possibility, proof that extraordinary things can hide in the most ordinary places. This cultural phenomenon also demonstrates how collectibles intersect with psychology and sociology. People are not just chasing money when they hunt for the 1994 cent. They are chasing hope, luck, and destiny. They are participating in a shared myth, a modern-day treasure hunt that transcends geography and background. Whether you are a wealthy investor in Dubai, a casual hobbyist in London, or a teenager in Lahore, the dream of finding that one magical penny unites people in a unique way. It is a global obsession born from a single year and a single coin. The story also raises interesting debates about value in the digital age. Some argue that coins like the 1994 cent are outdated, that digital assets like cryptocurrencies represent the future of wealth and collecting. But others push back, pointing out that physical objects carry a weight, a presence, and a sense of permanence that digital assets cannot replicate. A coin can be held, admired, passed down. It connects us physically to history in a way that digital numbers on a screen never can. For many collectors, this tactile, tangible quality is part of what makes the 1994 cent so powerful. In fact, some collectors have combined the two worlds, creating NFTs and digital certificates tied to rare coins, allowing virtual ownership and trading while still preserving the physical coin in safekeeping. This blending of old and new shows that the 1994 cent is not only relevant but adaptable. capable of thriving even in a rapidly changing world. As the legend grows, so does the pressure to protect and preserve these coins for future generations. Museums are increasingly interested in acquiring them, not just to display but to study, to understand how such a coin could capture the imagination of the world. Scholars analyze the phenomenon, writing papers about its cultural impact, about what it reveals about human behavior, about the intersection of rarity, value, and myth. In this way, the 1994 cent transcends the world of collecting and enters the world of academia, becoming a subject of study for historians, economists, and sociologists alike. And through it all, one truth remains clear: the 1994 cent is no longer just a coin. It is a story, a dream, a symbol, and a legend. Whether locked in a vault, displayed in a museum, or hidden in someone's pocket change waiting to be discovered, it carries with it the power to change lives, to inspire hope, and to remind us that sometimes the smallest things can carry the biggest value. As we come to the final chapter of this incredible journey into the world of the 1994 1-cent coin, it becomes clear that what began as a story about a small, ordinary piece of change has grown into something far larger. This is not just about copper and zinc, not just about mint marks or grading scales, but about the essence of human imagination and the timeless pursuit of value. A penny, something most of us toss into jars or ignore on the street, has proven that it can rival the most treasured works of art, the rarest jewels, and even the most legendary gold coins. It has shown us that greatness does not always come wrapped in grandeur. Sometimes it comes disguised in the humblest form. The 1994 cent teaches us that history is alive, not just in ancient ruins or old manuscripts, but in the very coins we hold in our hands every day. Each coin carries with it a story, a journey from the mint to the marketplace, from one pocket to another, from one generation to the next. Most coins complete that journey quietly, forgotten as they pass through countless hands. But every once in a while, one coin refuses to fade into obscurity. It rises, it commands attention, it becomes legendary. The 1994 cent is one such coin. For collectors, it is more than an investment. It is a dream realized, a crown jewel, a piece of numismatic immortality. For historians, it is a symbol of how even modern currency can carry profound significance. For ordinary people, it is a beacon of possibility, proof that fortune can come from the most unexpected places. For society, it is a reminder that value is not always about what we see, but about what we believe, what we imagine, and what we create together. The current market value, $199 million, is almost too large to comprehend. It is the kind of number usually reserved for oil paintings, for ancient treasures, for one-of-a-kind diamonds. Yet here we are, speaking of it in connection with a penny minted in 1994. This number, this staggering figure, does not just represent money. It represents faith, passion, competition, and the undying human spirit that longs to possess something truly unique. It is the culmination of countless stories, of collectors searching, of investors bidding, of dreamers hoping. When we think of the 1994 cent, we think of more than rarity. We think of the little boy searching through his piggy bank, the old man rediscovering a coin in his attic, the families gathered around their jars of change in the hope of striking it rich. We think of the gasps at auctions, the cheers when records are broken, the stunned disbelief of new millionaires created by nothing more than a penny. We think of sleepless nights spent wondering, what if I am holding the one? That is the true power of this coin. It awakens imagination, it fuels dreams, it brings magic to the mundane. And perhaps that is why its story will never end. Long after the current owners have passed on, long after the market has shifted and fluctuated, the legend of the 1994 cent will endure. It will live on in books, in documentaries, in the whispered excitement of collectors, and in the bright eyes of children just beginning their numismatic journey. Every generation will rediscover it, retell it, and relive it, because stories like this are timeless. So the next time you pick up a penny, take a moment to look closely. Run your fingers over the date, examine the design, wonder about its journey. For while most coins are ordinary, you never truly know when you might stumble upon something extraordinary. Perhaps in your pocket lies a forgotten treasure, a piece of history, a miracle waiting to be revealed. Perhaps you are just one moment away from holding in your hand not a penny, but a legend. The 1994 cent is proof that value is not just measured in dollars, but in dreams, in stories, in human connection. It is proof that even the smallest things can carry infinite meaning. It is proof that the world still holds mysteries, still hides treasures, still offers us the thrill of discovery. And that is why, no matter what the market says tomorrow, the story of this penny will remain priceless forever. So when the lights go down, when the video ends, when you step back into your daily routine, carry this story with you. Remember that magic exists in unexpected places. Remember that wealth can hide in plain sight. Remember that sometimes the most powerful things come in the smallest packages. And who knows, maybe one day, when you least expect it, you will look down and realize that you too are holding history in the palm of your hand. That is the promise of the 1994 cent, that is the mystery, and that is the legend. The tale of the 1994 cent does not end with its market value or its discovery stories. In many ways, the legend is just beginning. Around the world, collectors are awakening to the idea that coins are not just national tokens of currency, but universal pieces of heritage. The 1994 cent has sparked conversations not only in the United States, where it was minted, but in countries across Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Wherever people value history, wherever people cherish the art of preservation, the legend of the penny has found a home. Global markets have embraced it as a symbol of how collectibles can transcend borders. Wealthy collectors from China, where numismatic traditions stretch back thousands of years, see the 1994 cent as a modern counterpart to their ancient cash coins. Investors in the Middle East, who often view rare artifacts as symbols of prestige, have placed extraordinary bids in international auctions. European collectors, who for centuries pursued Roman denarii and medieval thalers, now find themselves captivated by a humble American penny minted only 3 decades ago. This globalization has not diluted the coin's story, but has magnified it, creating bidding wars that push values higher and higher. As its fame spreads, so too does its symbolic meaning. Some see it as a reminder of the unpredictability of life, that wealth can emerge from the most unlikely places. Others see it as a representation of modern capitalism itself, where value is created not only by substance but by perception, by demand, by the human willingness to compete for rarity. Still others see it in spiritual terms, as a lesson about humility, that greatness can hide in the smallest and simplest of forms. Philosophers and cultural critics have written essays exploring what the 1994 cent tells us about humanity. Why are we so fascinated by rare objects? Why do we attach astronomical value to things that are physically identical to billions of others, save for a few tiny differences? The answer, they argue, lies in the human desire for uniqueness. We crave what no one else can have, because it gives us identity, status, and meaning. The 1994 cent is not simply a coin. It is a mirror reflecting our own desires and our own endless search for significance. Economists, too, have studied its phenomenon. They point to the penny as a perfect case study of how markets can assign value beyond intrinsic worth. Copper and zinc together may be worth less than a cent, yet the coin sells for hundreds of millions. This is supply and demand in its purest, most extreme form. It is a reminder that value is not absolute, but relative, shaped by stories, by scarcity, and by belief. In classrooms around the world, economics professors now use the 1994 cent as an example of market psychology, of how value can be manufactured not by factories, but by imagination. The future of the 1994 cent is a subject of endless speculation. Some predict that within the next decade, we may see one sell for over $500 million, breaking every record in the world of collectibles. Others argue that digital currencies and blockchain assets will eventually overshadow physical coins, making stories like this a relic of the past. But even those skeptics admit that the legend has staying power, that as long as human beings value stories, the penny will retain its magic. Technology may actually enhance its story rather than replace it. Imagine a future where advanced holograms allow collectors to display their coins in perfect detail on digital walls, where AI-driven authentication eliminates counterfeits entirely, and where ownership can be recorded forever on blockchain ledgers. In such a future, the 1994 cent could become not only a rare coin, but the first global collectible to merge physical and digital worlds. Its owners may not only possess the coin, but also share its image and story with millions in virtual reality museums, allowing people everywhere to experience its beauty up close. At its heart, though, the 1994 cent will always be about something deeply personal. It will always be about that moment of discovery, that heartbeat of realization, that dream that refuses to fade. Whether you are a billionaire at an auction or a teenager checking your piggy bank, the feeling is the same. The thrill of, what if? That thrill is priceless, and it is what keeps the story alive. In the years to come, new generations will hear of this penny. Parents will tell their children, teachers will tell their students, collectors will tell their clubs. They will pass on not just the facts, the weight, the design, the symbol, the error varieties, but the feeling of wonder. They will tell them that somewhere, perhaps hidden in a jar, perhaps sitting in a dusty box, perhaps waiting in circulation, there might be another miracle coin. And that possibility will keep the adventure alive forever. So, as we close this long journey, let us not think only of the dollar signs or the headlines. Let us think of the deeper lesson of the 1994 cent. It teaches us patience, it teaches us hope, it teaches us to look more closely at the world around us. It reminds us that value is not always obvious, that treasure does not always glitter, that greatness can hide in plain sight. And perhaps, most importantly, it tells us that magic still exists, that in our modern, fast-paced, digital world, there are still mysteries waiting to be uncovered, still legends waiting to be written. And maybe, just maybe, one of those legends will begin with you. The next time you hold a penny in your hand, remember this story. Remember that every coin has a past, every coin has a journey, and some coins have the power to change your life forever. The 1994 cent is proof of that truth, a shining reminder that sometimes the smallest treasures carry the greatest weight, and sometimes the simplest stories become eternal. There comes a moment, after all the facts have been laid out, after all the numbers have been spoken, after all the stories have been told, when silence says more than words. And in that silence, we realize that what we have been speaking of is not just a coin, not just a cent struck in 1994, but a symbol of something far greater. It is a symbol of human hope, of the extraordinary hidden inside the ordinary, of the treasures that wait for us in the most unlikely places. The 1994 cent began its life as nothing special. It was struck at the mint, stacked in rolls, sent out into the world like billions of others. It jingled in pockets, it sat in cash registers, it fell between couch cushions. And yet, by a twist of fate, by the tiniest details in design, by errors too small for most to notice, it transformed itself into something legendary. This is the poetry of life itself, how something common can rise to become uncommon, how something overlooked can become unforgettable. Collectors speak of this coin with reverence not because of what it is made of, but because of what it represents. It represents the thrill of discovery, the beauty of rarity, the hunger of ambition. It represents the dreams of children searching through piggy banks, the determination of hobbyists scanning jars of change, the courage of investors placing million-dollar bids in crowded auction halls. It represents the spark of imagination that lives in every human being, the spark that asks, "What if?" And that spark is what gives the 1994 cent its real value. Yes, the market assigns it figures, $199 million, perhaps more tomorrow, but its true worth cannot be measured in currency. Its true worth lies in the way it inspires us, the way it makes us believe that miracles are possible, that greatness can be hidden in plain sight. Its true worth lies in the stories it has created and the dreams it continues to awaken. When future generations look back on this time, they will not remember it only for its technology, its inventions, or its conflicts. They will also remember it for the myths we created, the legends we chased, and the hope we nurtured. And among those legends will be the story of a penny minted in 1994, a penny that captured the imagination of the world, a penny that became worth more than castles, more than islands, more than kingdoms. In that sense, the 1994 cent is eternal. Long after it has changed hands for the last time, long after its current owners are gone, the story will live on. It will be told in classrooms, in homes, in collectors' clubs, in museums. Children will grow up hearing about the penny that turned into a fortune, and they will dream of finding their own. And so the legend will renew itself again and again, generation after generation, like a flame passed from one candle to another. And maybe that is the greatest treasure of all. Not the coin itself, not the fortune it commands, but the hope it plants in the hearts of people everywhere. Hope that life still holds surprises, hope that fortune can smile on anyone, hope that no dream is too small to come true. The 1994 cent reminds us that every pocket holds a possibility, every moment holds a chance, and every life holds a miracle waiting to be discovered. So let us close this journey not with an ending, but with an invitation. The next time you hold a penny, don't just see copper and zinc. See history. See possibility. See magic. Because somewhere out there, in someone's pocket or drawer or piggy bank, another legend may be waiting. And who knows? It might just be in yours. The story of the 1994 cent is the story of us all. Ordinary lives filled with extraordinary potential, small beginnings that can lead to unimaginable heights, tiny sparks that can ignite endless fire. It is not just the penny that is priceless. It is the dream it carries, the dream that belongs to everyone. And so, as this story fades into memory, let one truth remain in your heart. Greatness does not always shine, treasure does not always glitter, and miracles do not always announce themselves. Sometimes, greatness hides in plain sight. Sometimes, treasure jingles in your pocket. Sometimes, miracles are as small as a penny. And that is why the legend of the 1994 1-cent coin will never die. Because as long as there are coins, as long as there are dreamers, as long as there are hearts that believe, the story will live on forever.